The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall continue to follow me all the days of this protracted experience of death, and I will dwell in the house of the most super intelligent, power, source, and force of love and creation forever. What's happening? Benton here. Truck driving as per usual. All night slow roll. Just fueled up. Trying to calculate how much fuel will be burned by the time we're likely to perhaps cross a scale. Too much fuel at the wrong time, and we might not be strictly legal. We're 100 pounds over on the trailer, but my research indicates that nobody's too worried about 100 pounds. We definitely don't want to go over that 80,000 pound gross. I don't mind the slow roll. I got time, but I got to thinking about the fuel. If I increase the fuel economy too much, I won't burn enough fuel for when I might cross a scale. But we're driving all night, so GPS predicts that we make it. The Royal We will land at the truck stop on the other end at about 8:30. Of course, there's a 30-minute break before that happens. So what's that, 9? And any other stops would delay that, of course. The scale is unlikely to be going on Saturday night at this point, Sunday morning. But you never know. Oh, wait a minute. Got to turn the chat off. Go. Welcome to Benton's chatless audio blog, where even the Royal We doesn't know the topic at hand. Is there one? Who knows? I reckon fatigue may be around the corner for Mr. Benton. The sleep schedule is already becoming a bit strange. I'm sleeping from what, like 4 to 9-ish, 4:30 to 9, something like that. 9:30, 10. I notice more grogginess, so it's hard to even know what time did I wake up. And I know the other couple of nights ago I woke up, and it's all, if looking at the clock, I got to thinking, did I just more or less sit here in a daze for like 30 minutes? I think I woke up and just turned the lights on and just kind of sat there for like 30 minutes figuring out what the fuck was going on. Where are we? Kansas? Yeah, Kansas. Man, it rained so hard yesterday, and I drove so fast it was like a truck and trailer wash. There was a ton of road grime and salt all over this truck and trailer, and most of it's gone. How about that? Parked at a Flying J in Emporia, Kansas. Quite busy with the road trippers on a Saturday, and it struck me that especially on the weekends, I want to be done by noon at the latest, more like 10 a.m. really, if possible. Because man, that travel center was jam packed with motherfuckers just grabbing shit everywhere and wandering around like a bunch of bozos, which is what I was doing. But some of that is I'm rarely, if ever, in the truck stop, and especially that time of day, just kind of wandering around looking at the products. I only went in because I bought a new case for my new phone, and I needed to buy one of those magnets to fix it, to attach it to my phone mount here in the truck. And Pilot has the brand that I like. Scotch or whatever the fuck that is. SCOSHE, I guess. Figured I might as well peep the products. There's like a basketball team in there. A bunch of road trippers. And I don't want to be on the roads when they're on the roads. No, sir. So I wonder how the trucking's going to go. It's interesting. That I haven't been tortured too much lately with the daytime driving. Don't want to get too comfortable though. It's always, there's seemingly always on the horizon. Best to stay prepared. Ah, yes, the egg yolk drink. Been looking at used cars. I wonder what the market's like for all that. I found a car I like, but I like those Lincolns. The MKT. It's a town car looking thing. It's real fucking ugly, and sometimes like an ugly ass car, they're so ugly they kind of start looking cool to me anyway. I think it's the same platform as the Ford Flex, I believe. Another kind of strange looking car, but man, them things are roomy. Found one. They're asking $5,000, a black Lincoln MKT. I don't know if I'm trying to get into all that or not. That's a nice enough car. I might have to actually pay some sales tax to Arkansas, Usually I buy some version of a shit box like the Nissan Versa where I paid 5 Gs, but of course I've, reported the price is low enough to not have to pay us in sales tax. Something like that, they're not going to bat an eye, but you start looking at something that looks like it might be nice, even though it's not worth anything. Like that Lincoln 2014, I guess. I don't know. Does it even matter? Do I want to get half the fuel economy of a Nissan Versa? Do I want to pay probably double for tires? Yeah, not really. Not really. We're falling in love with that bumper tonight. It's kind of an interesting stream. The second stream yesterday, it's unlisted. So those, if there's anybody who, I think we're down to like 50 views per stream now, which is fine. Might as well. We'll probably be at 25 in a month or two. And it's not just my channel. I've noticed a lot of channels, their views are way down. Is everybody on TikTok? Probably by now. Yeah, I got to the truck stop early. I didn't hardly do anything. I just kind of laid there, and it's unfortunate with the way the climate controls work, because I ended up running the heater all day and slept, way too hot, because once you turn it off, it won't come back on. You got to start the truck up to get heat. I don't know why they've designed it that way. It's kind of silly. It's like, well, you can either leave the shit, turn it on when you park and leave it on the whole time, or just, and it's hard to predict what the, I look at the weather, but it's kind of hard to predict what it's going to feel like. And then it ended up being more humid than I expected with the rain and such. It's amazing how many things just don't ever quite work right. It's like almost did great though. I have to say the truck did great in the extreme cold, extended period of extreme cold weather. It did great as far as remaining comfortable in certain temperatures and humidities. So, not so much. And now it's the time of year be going back and forth between chilly and so running the heater, running the AC back and forth. And if the company doesn't run me off, with the scheduling and everything, then we got the Blitz coming up in May. Supposedly the focus is on here. If this says anything about how dystopic it's getting, enunciate. The focus is on hacked ELDs or backdoored software. Apparently now it's gotten so bad there's services advertised online for $30 a week. Someone will hack your logs and fix them for you. So making it where the driver can pretty much just drive whatever they want to drive, and then probably somebody in a foreign country will, remotely connect to the tablet and, make the logs appear to be legal, at least at first glance. Any violations. Apparently, the way the software is designed is to sort of self-report the violations, to make it super obvious. And, that's a double-edged sword, because when I first started in trucking, it was a device called a Qualcomm when I was with Snyder for the ELD, the electronic logging device. And the method of the DOT to examine the logs was quite different. And it wasn't necessarily super obvious at first glance if the driver had some sort of exceeded the, say, the 11-hour, driving period. It wasn't maybe quite as obvious if that had been exceeded in the last 7 days. And now I've noticed with these especially the tablets running, like an Android tablet running software, like a third-party software, they make it, there's like a red exclamation point on sort of a main screen that lists the last 7 days. So, and that can sort of train the, in a way, the DOT people, hey, just hand me your, because what they did initially, the very first time I got inspected, you go into the Qualcomm and there's a way to, email or to upload the logs, to the examiner, and then they look at them on their laptop or whatever. Versus now, it seems to be more of a, oh, well, just hand me your tablet, right? And maybe just take a cursory glance, and that's obviously fairly easily defeatable. And I would say it then sort of, kind of trains the examiner or the DOT out of the habit of, taking that extra step of uploading the logs to their own device and examining them that way. But I was in New York State, my first inspection, and the state trooper, he spent a good solid 20 minutes scouring my logs. I mean, he could have been more thorough, but I mean, clearly he was putting forward, that's like 3 minutes a day. If it's 7 days, if he spends 3 minutes, I would say that's fairly, and if he's good at it, knows what to look for, right? So not necessarily trying to just find a little ticky-tack thing, but, doing a thorough job. And I would argue that's sort of the purpose of all the regulation in the first place, versus just, oh, hand me your tablet and then just kind of looking at it for 10 seconds and handing it back. Oh, I guess everything's okay. Oh, okay. Right. I'm sure it is. Sure, it's not. And hell, when I started this job, they were running me so ragged. And part of that was just, I didn't quite have my endurance back for truck driving yet. But, getting run all around and on a PC, the personal conveyance, at a certain point, I was hoping they'd pull me in for an inspection. Like, fucking put me out of service. Let me get some rest. Fuck. Slow rolling me, baby. All night slow roll. Let's do it. Hey, there's a Walmart. Too bad they're not 24 hours anymore. That'd be a perfect one to pop into. That's one of them smaller ones, but I'm fairly well stocked up, so that one's probably got everything I would be in the market for right now. So earlier in my trucking career, I could just pull right on in there. That's a big, wide open lot this time of day or morning. But it's a small store, so once they open, it wouldn't even be worth fucking with in a big rig. Too much traffic coming in and out. Oh, there's a motel right next door. I'm gonna make a note of this. Where the fuck am I? I need to find a Walmart close to a motel with a reasonable weekly rate in case I decide not to buy a car. Where am I? Hang on, I'm gonna mark that on a GPS here. Mark that Walmart. A favorite. Holton, Kansas. Hell yeah. Probably find a beater out here too. I just needed a little $600 point A to point B car, maybe. Or a G at $1,000. I'd be willing to drive it around and risk an impound. Just don't register it and don't have insurance. But I'm not trying to get tickets. That's the major problem there. In Arkansas, if it's still like the old days, a lot of times if a person gets a ticket and just goes to court and pay it, it never shows up on their record anywhere. Wonder if that's still the case. I think about working and truck driving, and it's like, and I had a job where I could drive all night in Arkansas hauling those rice hulls. But once the truck they had me in broke down, that was a wrap. I didn't like those people anyway. Who cares? It shouldn't be that hard to find a job driving all night, but it really is. And especially with me wanting to live in the truck to some extent. I ain't into a commute. I'm not about that life. It says I'm getting 6.3 miles a gallon. See, that's what I'm saying. I may not burn off enough fuel by the time I get to the scales later. The hell, man. Trust that you're well, listener. I've been experimenting with some like fancy kind of expensive products, like herbal products for my gums and teeth, and that seems to be bearing some fruit. They definitely look more healthy than they have. They had gotten so soft there for a while, but they've hardened right back up, thankfully. The old chompers. I've also been looking at maybe if I could find a cheap enough tractor, truck, if there'd be some kind of way to lease on to some company where I could drive all night, live in the truck, and at least make enough to, if not to save money, at least make enough to feed myself and keep myself in, my basics. It'd be funny. I'd mainly just be working to, you know, pay for the fuel so I could idle the truck to live in the damn truck. What's the cost of a motel for a whole month versus a month's worth of diesel? I don't know. Can't be too much difference. I found what was it, 2020 International, and see they released an engine years ago called a ProStar, or that actually might have been the truck model. I don't remember, but it was a Navistar engine, and they were all just terrible and had a lot of problems. In fact, bankrupted a lot of owner operators just because the emissions was all fucked up, and you never could get them to run right. And so then they came out with their next version engine, the A26. And the reputation's so bad for Navistar, nobody wants the trucks with those engines, but they're actually pretty decent engines overall. I had a company truck that was an International with an A26. It was fine. And found one for like $10,000, a 2020 with like 600,000 miles. If it blows up, fucking move on, I guess. Try to get something for it. And that's a new enough truck. You should be able to lease on to a lot of them, bigger companies, maybe. I don't know. At this point, all I really care about is living in the truck and driving at night. And beyond that, I'm not too interested in much else. With respect to employment and money, like, let me just buy my basic shit, my food, my supplements, $150 boots for the winter, and just whatever I need to buy. It's almost time for a couple of more pairs of Under Armour shoes. People can talk about the cost of living. A lot of goods, man. I'm telling you, it's not that expensive. Yeah, I know food is. I would argue that food's been it's been actually, the prices have been depressed and kept down for a long time. Instead of gradual, and they always have gradually increased, but I would argue that this is probably what food's supposed to cost, just based on the way the system operates. It's something like eggs. People are like, oh, why are these eggs so expensive? It's like, well, they've been historically way too fucking cheap. These supermarkets all used it as a loss leader. You know, why would people expect in 2026 that a dozen eggs is still at Walmart's still going to be $1.80 or whatever? And meanwhile, a lot of these states, it's not much more than $3, right, for a dozen eggs if you just get the basic great value eggs. I don't know. Is that really asking too much? And I think that some people are figuring out, they just want to work their stupid job and have a halfway affordable rent and live their life, their so-called life, be left the fuck alone. I saw some guy, I don't know, I subscribed to his channel at a certain point. I don't know if I unsubscribed, but he's some kid in his 20s from California. And I know when I first found his channel, he was living in Palm Springs, but I don't think he's from Palm Springs, but doing, DoorDash or whatever. For some reason, he moved to Conway, Arkansas, which I'm quite familiar with, of course. And in fact, that's where the motel is that I was staying with my pops when I was real sick. And I don't know if the kid's getting a job or what, but looks like right now he's just doing DoorDash. And I think maybe he's renting an apartment for like $750 a month. Of course, you're looking at like 900 once you get the utilities involved. And I'm not saying he can't hack the summer, but I can just tell by the way he's talking about the heat, he doesn't have any idea what he's in store for, because the humidity is not a big deal when you're used to it. I'm used to it. It sucks, but I've done summers outdoors in Arkansas homeless. I mean, it fucking sucks, but it's doable. You have to. But, it's, if you're outside at 2 a.m, you're sweating, period. I mean, once summer starts, it's hot outside, meaning if you're outside, you start sweating within 5 minutes. Period, end of story. If it's summer, you go outside within 3 to 5 minutes, you're sweating, no matter what. If not, you must have some health problems. And that's, the bugs is a whole nother, that's almost a weather phenomenon in itself. But, there's no escape from it. Now, if you're in your car, you're in and out of your car all day and you're in the air conditioning, it's really not a big deal at all. You think you're going to be outside, get used to swamp ass, get used to, your back sweating, trying to carry a backpack's fucking miserable. Sweaty back all day. Your socks and shoes are going to be soaked. You think you're going to be out there walking around. Any kind of outdoor work. It's just like being in a damn swamp. So who knows? He seems like the type to stick it out and just say, fuck it. And he seems to really like garbage food. He was excited that he found Rallies, which is just some of the most. I mean, I used to like Rallies when I was very unhealthy. I didn't go there that often, but I mean, this is just. You want to talk about garbage fast food? I mean, I don't know that it gets more garbage than Rallies. So I told him. I posted in his comments. I said, "Hey man, if you like Rallies, I said you might as well just go ahead and go for the gas station fried chicken." And I said, when you pick up when you pick up the thigh and a single piece of oil drips onto the plate, you know you found it. And he had mentioned going to maybe try and DoorDash in Little Rock. I said, if you're going to Little Rock, you might want to wait till you go to Little Rock because there's not enough blacks in Conway. You know, you'll get a better a better gas station fried chicken experience if you wait till you go to Little Rock. And I'm not joking. Like, you know, I said I'm being completely serious. Gas station fried chicken. I won't say I miss it, but that's some bad food that, you know, every once in a while I could see myself just being like, fuck it, I'm going to crush like one thigh or whatever just to get the taste of it, you know. That's unbeatable, man. A greasy chicken thigh. I guess you gotta go ahead and have a leg at that point. So yeah, a two piece. Let me get a two piece dark. Hell, at that point, you might as well have the roll too, right? But no JoJo's. Hold the JoJo's. Casino. What the hell? Sack and Fox Casino. Part-time cooks, $300 sign-on bonus. And see, this is the whole nobody wants to work. It's like nobody wants to work for the wages. I mean, how did we lose that part in America? Right? How did Americans lose that part of things? Nobody wants to work for these wages. Can you blame them? I know, I want to say it's Casey's. Some of these stores, they pay every day, right? And I like to watch a lot of this Mike Andes content, that little fella, the Augusta Lawn Care fella. And, you know, he goes and he does these turnarounds where he'll travel to somebody's business and help them get their head out of their asses to try not to go out of business. And sometimes when they have trouble hiring, this one woman was, you know, bemoaning that a lot of people quit right away and that the local Casey's is proven to be stiff competition because they pay every day, right? Meanwhile, I was homeless and took a job in a call center, and it was 30 full days from the day I started till I got my first 2 weeks paycheck, my first full 2 weeks paycheck. That shit should be against the law. They should have to start paying me day one. I mean, for real, what am I supposed to do for 30 days? Just figure it out. I mean, yeah, it's easy. It's doable when I'm got all day to wander around Portland and go to free meals and stand in line for free shit. But yeah, I'm riding a train, you know, almost an hour each way to go to work in a call center, and the train tickets, I could barely afford the train tickets long enough to get paid. Like, what the hell is this? And you want to tell a bum to get a job? What's that going to do? Nothing, man. A job is no longer a path out of homelessness. I mean, it can be, but it's not a given. Those days, a lot of homeless people working jobs. I think a lot of folks, as far as jobs and the economy, so called, it's like You know, one way to incentivize them to do certain things is, help them be left the fuck alone, right? Like truck driving. There's got to be a place for somebody who just wants to live in a truck, park at a truck stop mostly during the daytime and drive all fucking night, 7 days a week. Like, how can there not be a job for that person? I just don't get it without having to go through a bunch of bullshit. And if I knew that I could reasonably keep my preferred sleep schedule and be homeless, I mean, at this point, I'd probably just go back to regular old homeless without a car. Because the LA thing, that's more of a seasonal deal. That's not really doable in the long run. And, contrary to popular belief, they do just tow people shit off the street. People who are living in cars and RVs and vans. It's just what they're figuring out is it requires a high level of coordination between many different, city, state, and county entities, right? But they're starting to, especially with the Olympics coming up, they're starting to figure out, the bureaucracy starting to figure out how to actually get some of these people off the street, which I don't have a problem with it, you know. 'Cause I'm not going to show up and try to live on the street unless it's got to be halfway easy, Who wants to go through a bunch of hassle? It's like, yeah, go live in your car. It's like, not in Arkansas in the summer. I mean, maybe in the winter, not in the motherfucking summer. Are you crazy? It's too fucking hot. I'm gonna do idle the. I guess what if I don't care about my car and if I have money? I guess I could just run the engine, blast the AC. How long is that gonna last? Idling in some parking lot, miserable, man. No thanks. In LA, I like it. I like it, but it's just too many damn people. I need to be able to walk around at certain times and not have to be around so many folks, if possible. Too many vampires trying to find somebody to suck on. Damn Hollywood vampires. Oh man. And as far as buying my own truck, you also got the problem of you still have to work enough to, you're looking at $400 for an oil change on one of them things. Well, hell, it's a 200 on cars. A lot of cars is 150 to 200 bucks. But tires, everything costs a lot, obviously. I don't know. TA truck service. Am I gonna have to put up the non-tent banner? I might have to. I don't have the energy for any kind of spiritual or any kind of ranting right now or complaining about the economy or whatever. Giving a lecture on the evils of Enron, corporate fascism, and such. I know at one point I'd found a owner operator gig. It was like delivering to Whole Foods stores, maybe in like Dallas Fort Worth area or something like that. And I think a lot of that's mostly at nighttime. So some of it would be daytime, but I think it's mostly nighttime. And I got to thinking about when I delivered to that retail store in Omaha, and that was ended up being in a shopping mall that was like just insanely busy when I delivered. I think on a Saturday, and I'm not doing something like that. I'm just not doing that again. It was just way too much for what it was. I mean, I'm not. I don't like to be rude, but I'm just going to have to tell the company, look, y'all don't. I like what I make, but this is you're just going to have to pay me more if you want. You got to pay me a lot more if you want me to do something like that again. Sometimes aspects of my job can be so annoying. I'll just say, listen, I would pay $100 not to be doing this. So much less. It's not even about trying to get my 250 bucks for today. Like I would give you $100 not to do what I'm doing right now. So now we're hitting some Pretty serious fog. I wasn't really anticipating. Thick fog. Damn, I can't see anything. Holy smokes. It's been a quite a I don't yeah, it's been a long time since I ran into something this bad. It's been years. Last time I ran into something like this, I was pulled over and just waited. Yeah, this is crazy. I was in Missouri, as I recall. Damn. Auburn, Nebraska, 34 miles. Am I going to Nebraska? Maybe. I think we're going up through Sioux City. And I forget which one's in which state. Sioux Falls and Sioux City. One's in Iowa and one's in South Dakota, maybe. Yeah, this is brutal right here, man. I can't, and it's with a real heavy load. I don't know if I'm going uphill or downhill some of the time. This is bizarro world. We're just coasting. 39 miles an hour with the flashers on, and I'm not touching the gas, the fuel pedal, or the brake. We're just maintaining 39 miles an hour. This is crazy, man. It's the twilight zone. Now we're slowing down a little bit. So what are we on? A slight downhill, I guess. Yeah, now we're slowing down a little more. Probably starting to go uphill. That was fucking weird. Glad it's 1 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Hopefully nobody's around. And this truck doesn't have the radar on it. You know, all those freight liners for several years, almost all of them had this, you know, the fucking radar and the adaptive cruise control. And I'm sure it's all still available, but thankfully this one doesn't have all that bullshit. The lane departure warnings. I guess I finally got to a certain level of experience in trucking where most of the drivers are so annoyed by that shit that some of these companies just don't even have it at all on their trucks. I don't really mind the lane departure warning so much, but and there are some advantages to that radar, such as it would, you know, if I came up on an object or whatever, it would detect it. If I caught up to a car, slow moving car. I'm pretty sure the international, if I looked at some 2020s, I bet you most of those have the adaptive cruise control. I wonder if you can turn it off though. Just do a regular cruise control. Man, back to the proverbial pea soup fog here. What in the world, dude? This is crazy. If I'd known it was going to be like this, I probably would have stopped at that TA back there. I bet I could have found a spot. Wait this shit out, man. This is terrible. How much drive time do I have? I mean, it could be like this all night. I don't think there's any other reasonable routes to be on. Now, this looks like about it for roads out here. I'm not turning around, but hell, I don't think I've gotten more than about 10 miles away from that TA. Fuck this, dude. Now we get into like how much danger am I willing to take on, but it's just a straight road. I mean, it's kind of hilly and up and down, but let's see if we can go here. Yeah, here comes the moment I think I'm brave. Here comes a car. I can see them pretty good. Oh, it's a truck or a bus. It's a Greyhound or something along those lines. And then he turned his flashers on. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's the way to go or not. I mean, I'm patient. It's really not a big deal. And as long as I don't, at a certain point, if it continues too long, I'll have to stop just because it'll eat up too much of my clock. But I guess it's mainly annoying because it extends, the time until I'm done for the day. So I'm trying to get done, man. Chill out until tomorrow. Brutal. And again, I'm trying to burn this fuel off in case we have to cross the scale. And I'm burning way less fuel up to 6.5 miles a gallon. Should be closer to 6. Now I'm thinking I should have put in 80 gallons. I was thinking about going as low as 60. Fuck. What the hell, man? Leaving Kansas. Come again. Where are we at? Nebraska? Yep, Nebraska. The good life. Home of Arbor Day. All right. All right. Well, I'm having to pay too much attention to the driving, so bye.